time to be a part of Clash Royale. Dude, I was playing, and just to, since we got a second here, I was playing pickleball the other day, and there was a kid that came out there who absolutely bodied me in pickleball. He was insane. But then we talked about our trophies and Ultimate Champion ranking, and he was nowhere even close to where I am in Clash Royale. So it's just so cool to see how universal it is. He's also obviously like...
Yeah, it's fun, and thinking about, as we get into this game, thinking about what that's going to look like at World Finals. I don't think people paid attention that much to it, but there was a tournament, I think it was last year at the Pukkelpop Festival in Belgium, if I remember correctly. And one thing I got back from that was that there were so many people who just wandered in to watch it because it was a cool live thing to watch. And I remember watching the videos of that, and the crowds were wild. Like, the actual energy in the room was completely insane. And so I think that might have, I don't know for sure, but I feel like that might have influenced some of the decision to bring it to DreamHack this year. Man, the more I think about it, the more pumped I am.
All right, here we go. Game number 1 in our upper bracket grand final reset. These are the last 5, if necessary, games that will be played before our last chance qualifier next weekend, where we'll be crowning and giving away our final golden ticket winner that we get to decide on, at least in the competitive, actually being able to watch the competition. Everything else will be decided by leaderboard points.
And for those of you curious, I won my division and shot a 960 rated round yesterday.
I was curious, but I already saw
Thanks,
that
Andrew.
on Instagram.
Thank you, buddy. I mean, I gotta look it up. I'm again the Berserker and Valkyrie lore. There has to be.
Wow, that is such a good vines there by Pedro, and you can see Ian does not love that interaction. Knows the Cannoneer already took a shot. Berserker stays alive. Uses that extra 3 elixir to get an extra lot of damage in. And Ian kind of responds in kind there with the vines of his own.
Snowball to slow things down. Doesn't get the stab. 20-62 on the left-hand side, but the real story is that bottom right, which is in so much trouble.
Yeah, it's amazing how much damage that Berserker can do. And I really love that about the card. It needs to be paid attention to. And Vines plus Barrel, also a really fun interaction. Wallbreaker into a Bomber, though, not so fun.
And this feels like it's pretty much sewn it up.
Nice last
599.
second Valkyrie there to just make sure that the game isn't completely over.
Nearly gets the Wallbreaker's connection. Not quite. Vines doing their work on both sides of the board, offensively and defensively.
It's just crazy, the Vines, just like a combination of, arrows and lightning and freeze. You talk about the targeting, you talk about the amount of damage, and obviously the freezing there, not as substantial, but it doesn't really seem to matter in terms of the time that you get to lock everything down or the amount of units that you get to lock down.
Wow. Wow. The work done there by the Evo Valk to open up a lane here, and I might have spoken too soon. Ian is in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that far apart, and you know how quickly that damage can stack up with the Goblins, and now we're seeing Pedro have to use his strongest utility card on offense, on defense, and then we see another Wallbreaker connection. What is the last card? That's the question.
That Vines was absolutely perfect. 519 to 301.
Vines are in. Ian just trying to spell cycle this out. Now goes in with the double barrel. What does Pedro have for the right-hand side? He has to snowball, which means he can't do it on offense, which means Ian is just back ahead again in cycle. He should be able to get another Vines in. There you go. And now, again, pulling the snowball out of Pedro. He has to use Vines there. Snowball on offense. Is it enough?
151, 293.
This game
oh my, caster.
Insane.
Is this one of my all-time worst caster's curses?
It is!
And it is!
It is!
Oh my word. What did I do to Pedro?
Wow. I was going to say, you were talking about how the crowd is going to be in Atlanta. Well, the chat is absolutely losing their mind. I imagine some of these people will be there. I think Ian's going to have a really big home crowd feeling in Atlanta.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at this list, and Mo, Ian, Sub, Pedro, Lucas, Adriel, Igor, Sandbox, Moogie, and Sam. Ian's the only one who's going to be there, besides whoever the LCQ and the Chinese qualifier are. But other players who we know who are locked in, Ian's the only one who's never been to a World Finals before. Everyone else on that list is a former World Finalist, but now we're in a situation where Ian is also one of the scariest people at that World Finals.
Definitely. I mean, 110%, and I don't know if you could have said the exact same thing at the beginning of the year. Even though he won the first monthly final, you're always like, well, you know, a lot of people have won monthly finals. A lot of people haven't won world championships, and right now Ian really looks like a guy that can win a world championship.
Yeah, I mean, who do you want as a first-round matchup when you look at this list, right?
Nobody.
Nobody. Stop it, everyone.
Does get the King Tower activation there. I mean, that's just brilliant. That's just, I mean, I know it's just one interaction, it's just one card, it's just one thing, but the difficulty of pulling that off, guys, if you want to grind at the highest level, you need to go back and just watch placement, watch timing, watch positioning of the Magic Archer, it being on the inside, all that stuff in order to get those King Tower activations.
Yeah, I remember watching some of the teams practice during the old era of CRL, and they would get together and they would just practice interactions like that, running it throughout a game. So get a friend and load up with some spirit, like load up with a bunch of spells small that you can cycle out, and a Magic Archer and an Ice Spirit, or however you want to do it, and just practice getting that lineup done. You can do a couple of games, get it dialed in.
Yeah, perfect timing and placement on the Magic Archer there as well by Ian. Does get taken off the board, but it just pulls so much elixir away from Pedro, and now we should see a good Golden Knight connection here. It's actually going to pull that Furnace back just a hair.
I mean, that was critical. And, you know, one thing we've seen a lot in the Graveyard play today, so many times in the history of Graveyard, whether it's, you know, the Cannon Cart Graveyard decks or Splash Yard, things like that, so much of playing against Graveyard is setting the line and not letting a tank get across the bridge to get the Princess Tower or whatever tower's attention. That really hasn't been a big part of the Graveyard fights today. So yeah, seeing that one there against the Furnace, we saw how effective it was in at least preventing some of that.
Yeah, it's funny. We had a similar conversation yesterday why there's obviously nuance to that conversation, but for the most part, it's kind of an if-then. Since Graveyard is so RNG dependent, the one thing that you can control defensively is it having a tank or not, and it is always better when it has a tank. And like I said, there is nuance to that conversation, but I'm with you. It feels like setting that line is just so important.
But whether it's the construction of the Graveyard decks that we're approaching or something else about it, really we've seen that prioritize, like at least almost low prioritized today.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Magic Archer gets some good lineups here.
Oh yeah. And that Goblin does get to towers, so just a really nicely placed snowball there from Ian. And now going to have to deal with a big push. And we called it out, Rich. And you can see setting the line important here for Ian. But
final
1 minute remaining,
intro,
yeah.
And that's, yeah, you see just setting up the Mega Knight for Ian. Wants to create some chaos, get some stuff he can pull together with a NATO, get that Magic Archer lineup.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he has to do all the way across the board. And that's a really nice high Golden Knight there from Ian. And then the Barbell kind of missing the Magic Archer, but it doesn't really matter.
And that's good. Mega Knight staying on for a long time for Ian. Evo Mega Knight now in. Poison going to tick away before the Magic Archer has to come out. Let's see, 21 seconds left. Great prediction, Snowball. I don't know if this is enough. Is there a NATO? The NATO. Doesn't get the lineup. Doesn't get the lineup. The Magic Archer. And those two shots could have been a difference maker. Instead, it's going to be, let me not caster curse here. Let it get really low down. It's going to be a game 2 win for Pedro now that I know it's locked up.
Yeah, going back and forth there. Pedro doing a really good job of just starting to search for the things like exactly what we were talking about. Ian doing so well in game number 1 is where can I take damage
part going forward, and very curious to see who comes out as in full form and who comes out kind of all over the place. You know, World Finals is so unpredictable. Although, you know, when you think about our solo World Finals, we've had 21, 22, 23, 24. Actually, relatively more predictable. We've only had 2 world champions in 4 solo world championships.
Yeah. Just Mo and Mugi just trading off, which is, I mean, you love to see it. You really do. I mean, you got to beat the best to be the best, and the 2 of them have just shown time and time again that at least when it comes to the conversation of CRL championships, it's just the 2 of them.
And Piggies will get handled here.
Pretty close to a mirror matchup here, which is really interesting. You wonder how much that cheaper cycle or the cheaper building is going to come into play here for Pedro. Both of these guys having lightning as the last card. So a straight mirror match, which will be fascinating. And you know, even in mirror matches, you always see things like that happen. How much more elixir do you spend to keep that Mighty Miner on the board for winning just that one interaction?
And Piggy's getting a little bit of extra speed here. Cannon will do its best to make that not into an issue. And well covered.
Yeah. Well covered, but also a really nice log there by Ian to just get a little bit of damage in. And in mirror matchups, any tick of damage, any lick of damage is so important. Because what'll happen is you start to see sometimes they'll start to go for spell cycle races, but if you just have that little bit of a lead, then you guys both have the same spell, then they lightning, then you lightning, and then they build up an offense and lightning and you lightning. You know, it's a very tough spot to be in. It's one of the reasons why, honestly, I really don't like playing mirror matches, but
oh, I hate them.
Yeah, but that's just part of the game.
Well, I can't remember who it was describing it that mirror matches, because some people are like, well, mirror matches show who's the most skilled of 2 people. And what mirror matches really show is who understands the mirror match better. Yeah. Who understands how to manage your card cycle in that specific situation better. A very different version of Clash Royale, honestly.
Absolutely. And, you know, even right there, you see Pedro going, okay, well, I'm going to use my lightning on trying to clear out the center of the board here. And Ian obviously still has not used his lightning, but getting good damage in on the left-hand side and actually taking a pretty nice lead here, and Ian going to get right back on offense. And, you know, the interesting thing here is you have 2 Evo buildings that both have pretty good splash damage, but I do think that probably the Cannon wins that conversation, at least in this matchup. It's a faster cycle, and I think a little bit more damage, and the pushback.
Here we go. Sudden death overtime. And some Piggies do sneak through for just a tip, but still about almost 300 separated.
And that's pretty good lightning value right there, but Pedro doesn't have enough elixir for it. Interesting baby seconds. Dragon battle at the river there.
Yeah. Down to the final 90.
Now gonna have to use the ability, I think. Oh no, never mind. Baby Dragon does get taken out by the Tesla, or I mean, excuse me, the E-Spirit.
And that gives Ian the lead for just a moment. And we're not in a lightning block situation here. Both these guys, their towers are way too healthy, so lightning's just gonna get on towers.
It's a great point. And Piggy sneaking through again, and the lightning does come down.
2007, 2274. All tied up for the moment. 1 game to 1 game.
Still lightning value in. No late log. This is going to be tough. Nice log there, though, from Pedro.
Lightning does not get onto the Tesla.
You wonder if you should lightning high there. Get on top of the Tesla, get on top of the
Yeah.
Baby Dragon, as that Baby Dragon's already pretty low. You ignore the Baby Dragon and the Tesla. There's just way too much defensive prowess there. I mean, even if the Tesla goes off the board, the Baby Dragon's still going to slow things down to make the Skellies and the E-Spirit a little bit more effective, and Pedro knows it.
And, you know, I called it out. We weren't really in a lightning block situation there. The Piggies go back and try to protect, but the tower just a little bit too healthy for that one. And it's going to be Ian taking game.
Pedro just didn't have enough elixir in the tank, but you wonder if that lightning late game, if he had gone high, would have taken out the Tesla and the Baby Dragon, if that would have actually created any space. But right now we got Pedro playing Mortar and Ian playing Hogs, so I'm just going to shut up and enjoy the show.
Championship point for Ian.
And Iceberg's putting in some pretty good work on that right-hand side. One of those things that you don't love to spend elixir on defensively.
And then you realize that it just froze off a fifth of your tower.
Yeah.
Flying Machine is interesting here.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those cards that we've always talked about, if-then, you know, if Fireball's out or if a spell's out. But the fact that Vines is such a prevalent card now, it definitely changes that conversation a little bit.
Well, this was a bet on Ian's part, right? Poison is gone, Lightning is gone, Vines is gone, so you're kind of flipping the coin. Are you or are you not running Fireball? And it appears that the answer might be not.
Wow, I mean, Ian's going with a very unique Hog deck here. Hog Recruits, which is, you know, a little bit of a mid-ladder menace situation, but you understand the idea behind it is get the Recruits out front, the Hog behind, Flying Machine behind that, and all of a sudden you've got 3 layers of defense you got to play. And very little spell power if you're Pedro, but the splash damage that he has, the ability to get the minions right on top of that Flying Machine are things that he's going to have to think about as this game goes on.
We need to double here, and now we're getting into the potential to try to abuse Flying Machines.
Love to do that. Cage in the right spot. Pull that miner in.
And that Evo Witch just getting healed all the way almost back to full.
Yeah, and that Bar Barrel, I mean, really the reason the Bar Barrel has screamed back into the meta, obviously Graveyard is more popular and very, very strong right now, but the biggest reason that Bar Barrel is in the meta right now is because of Evo Witch specifically.
And you see these Zappies, they come out to handle the Flying Machine because they have to, or the minions,
yeah.
and then the Zappies are there able to just clean them up.
Yeah, nice play there because, you know, Ian recognizes again, all right, I'm going to play this Flying Machine, which means you basically have to play minions, but you don't really have a way to deal with my Zappies. Arrows is just not going to be enough, so there you go. But right now, this is actually a really good push. Miner's still tanking. Skellies are on the tower. That is domination there for Pedro. And it looks like I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to cast a cursive. It's already happened once.
Don't call it yet. But this is looking pretty dire. It doesn't look great. If we're to evaluate how good it looks bad.
I've seen many better looking situations in Clash Royale, but anyone could win, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is kind of what the Flying Machine needs to do, is be in this safe territory, no man's land, building up value.
And it's great, too, because Ian has early cycled the Zappies, so when the minions come out, either the Zappies are going to be there or he has another set of Zappies to deal with. But honestly, at this point, since Ian has done basically 100 damage, there's so many more things that he's worried about than just that Flying Machine. Getting across the bridge and defending it, you know?
This is a lot on the board right now that Pedro has to contend with.
There's so much good
Fireball
splash
clearing
for Pedro with the Ice Wiz, with the Witch, with the Skeleton King, the Mortar defensively. And you can bet your bottom dollar we will not see another offensive Mortar in this game.
Yeah, it's just his shut down city. Get ahead, slow it down, clog everything up, make it messy. And Pedro making us earn our dollars here, all the way down to Game 5 in the bracket reset.
I mean, that's another great thing about these two guys going head-to-head is you're just seeing how close they really are in skill, how deep we're getting in these best-of-5s, and it's just been really, really fun to watch and such a great setup for what World Finals is going to look like.
Man, and how do we even think about deck picking at this stage?
We don't, Rich. We don't.
Yeah.
That's
not our... Yeah, like, that's an interesting thought, too.
Yeah, RG, Monk are both available. Skeleton Barrel comes out early here for Ian, which Ian could now be going to Mortar, which is usually what we see Skelly Barrel with. And there we go.
And there you go. Immediate.
Tesla Evo E-Drag. Very interesting.
And a couple early Mortar connections. And... You know, with Evolved Electro Dragon, you have to think that maybe Pedro's going heavy. Tesla's interesting here. But
yeah, I mean,
that does make the Cannoneer more viable.
The Evo E-Dragon might be more of a spell, if that makes sense, Rich, because there's not a good way to take it off of the board.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one of those things where if you don't have Lightning, it's really hard to deal with the Evo E-Drag, and Ian doesn't have Lightning, so that Evo E-Dragon could just be played and just kind of as a control card more than anything. And there we go. See right there, boom, going to clean up the Skellies. Not there for the Mortar, so a Knight has to come down.
So Evo E-Drag Hog is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why we love best of fives.
Yep.
Cannoneer is also a pretty cool pick here from Ian, just, you know, at least in the sense of it worked out well here where he's going to do well against the Hog. It's going to help with the E-Dragon. It's not really worried about swarm units. Obviously, the Goblins can be played at the bridge to create a little bit of pressure, but that's not... And there we go, Goblins at the bridge for some pressure.
Yeah, but, you know, with Drill gone, Graveyard gone, Skeleton's not a concern, Skeleton King, like a lot of things that would make a Cannoneer annoying are not in there right now.
Yeah. That's why I really think it's a pretty great tower pick.
Oh, I think he wanted that Knight to go in front of the Hog. Unfortunately for Pedro, it turns back around. Shots in, 1982 on the left-hand side. Ian calling good game.
Once again, and this is just an interesting spot when you talk about Game 5 of a best-of-5 and how you deal with these uniquely difficult cards like the Evo E-Dragon, like the Spirit Empress, and the Rage. I mean, that's pretty cool. You got the Rage, the Royal Delivery, the E-Drag, the Evo Tesla, and the Earthquake as all these, like, small to moderately big spells. $1988 to 6 HPs.
Yeah, you and I both had the same idea. We're looking at that going, this is razor thin.
Why Ian is maybe looking at that long game and just wondering, he called good game, but it really doesn't feel like he means it in this situation. It's just that E-Dragon, man. He's just got no way to get to it other than sniping it with the Spirit Empress.
Hog in on the left-hand side. This time, Knight in front of it. The high mortar to hold. EQ going to work.
Yeah, I think Ian's just recognizing he has a really, really tough time breaking through.
Well, again, now this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Is what is Ian thinking of? How do I get the win? Right? What is my methodology for making this happen? Ian has to be doing that math right now.
I just don't know.
He's thinking there's no way.
Yeah, he's got to use that mortar defensively because there's no really other good way to stop the Hog. The Tesla's always going to pull these barrels in. There you go, double drop right away. Evo E-Dragon to clean it all up. Somehow those Skellies get away, which is, again, you can't give up.
And the Rage, he has to guards here. Hog's going to get one.
Yeah, good job.
35 seconds left.
Recognizing the overspend by Ian, and it turns up his offensive push just a little bit.
2 Empresses. That Tesla, though, that Evo Tesla was spot on from Pedro.
Yeah, the Tesla placement has been really nice to see by Pedro, and it makes sense, being a minor control player. He's probably got all these buildings on lockdown, considering how many different versions there's been. And there you go. There's the smile from Pedro finally. Rich, we cast a curse at him before, but that man who already had a golden ticket has got 15,000 more dollars in his pocket, 100 more points to go on that leaderboard, and we will see both of these gentlemen in Atlanta.
What a performance this weekend by Pedro.